I'll never look there, right?
Yeah.
They don't exist.
They don't exist.
Yeah.
It's just two people having a casual conversation.
Exactly.
We don't even know it's being recorded.
Hopefully. Well,
Hopefully.
with holding this in the hand kind of makes it like, why am I holding this if this is not recording?
Because this is cool, you know. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to the show,
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mooroo.
No COVID.
No handshake.
No COVID.
No handshakes.
I'll
We're
do-
both tested.
I won't touch my face now.
Don't touch your lips.
Lips or
Lips
nose.
specifically, or nose.
Yeah.
Or
Any cavities.
Yeah, it's picking up again.
Is it?
It is, I think.
I stopped following it.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's getting depressing at this point.
Yeah.
Because
plus
like,
there's a number always all the time. How many people died? You're like, do I really want to psychologically think of this? हर वक्त के कितने लोग मर गए. Flu kills people. Cancer kills people. But I don't constantly look at the number. You know, every time I put on Dmt.com, वो सामने वो एक ग्राफ आ रहा होता है. वो ऊपर जाता है, डर लगना शुरू हो जाता है. नीचे जाता है, थोड़ा रिलैक्स हो जाता है. फिर ऊपर चढ़ता है. And the 5 days लगते हैं ना कि you'll incubate it for 5 days. And then it'll affect. So if people start getting open, वो 5 दिन बाद उसका असर ग्राफ में नजर आएगा.
that's true.
Yeah, so I'm constantly like rethinking my thoughts. So I just follow procedures. Try
Do you
to be
think it's
careful as we
like a
have.
part of you sometimes sit back and think that it might just be like a bigger conspiracy and we're part of this big conspiracy and we don't even know that it's a conspiracy. But what if it is?
I sometimes think that. I mean, क्योंकि इतनी confusing किस्म की चीज़ है.
हाँ.
उसकी वो भी अभी वैक्सीन भी पता चल रहा है कि 1 दफ़ा नहीं 2 दफ़ा लगानी पड़ती है बूढ़े लोगों के लिए.
अच्छा.
कम से कम Bill Gates was saying this on TV.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, what's happening here? So it defies all the biological things that we already know.
Yeah.
And
they predicted all of this. They predicted a biological warfare, something like that, or a pandemic for a better term. Because I was actually watching Bill Gates' interview in 2017 where he mentioned that pandemic would be a thing. It would be like a worldwide phenomenon,
yeah.
and it would like wipe out a lot of human beings. And the reason why it's going to happen is because we're investing way less money into biology versus chemistry, medicine versus warfare. जितने पैसे हम लोग warfare और bombs वगैरह बनाने में दबा कर लगाते हैं उतने पैसे हम लोग medicine के अंदर नहीं लगा रहे. So this is going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean his life is an example of that change as well. He made all the money from technology and all these things and then he invested it into medicine.
Yeah.
And Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation के अंदर.
Yeah.
So I mean I saw that TED talk as well in which he mentioned this. Yeah. But people have just turned against him.
Yeah. For some odd reason, like I think people are getting just like people. The thing is, लोगों के दिमाग इतने छोटे हैं कि लोग सोचते हैं कि इसको कैसे पता लग गया था पेंडेमिक आने वाला है.
इसने खुद ही किया होगा.
भाई ये चिप्पे घुसा एक बंदा मैंने
हाँ ये चिप्पे घुसाना चाह रहा है. ये इंजेक्ट करेगा अपनी वैक्सीन और हमें कंट्रोल करेगा.
हाँ नहीं somebody literally like some rickshaw driver. I was just taking a rickshaw. I was shooting a video and stuff. So I was talking to them. This was like when COVID was starting to pick up. So I was like, what are your thoughts on this? He's like, oh भाई सारी गेम है ये बिलगेटिया जो है ना हमारे साथ खेल रहा है ये हमारे अंदर चिप्पे घुसाएगा. कौन बिलगेटिया और किसकी चिप्पे? So a lot of people think that it just might just be some new thing this world is up to.
Yeah, I mean my guy वो जो मेरे बाल काटता है नाई मेरा वो मुझे ये सुनाना शुरू हुआ while he's cutting my hair and I'm trying to listen to a podcast, right? And he keeps talking, so I pause the podcast. I'm like, okay, sure, let's listen to your shit. So और उसकी shit क्या थी कि यार Bill Gates बड़ा है मैंने and reasons I'm trying to figure out and he has no reasons.
Yeah.
He's just attached to the fact that this guy's got something wrong with him.
Right.
But he's got no reasons to justify that opinion.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, now you got to really eat my head up. Just cut the hair, man. I want to listen to Joe Rogan.
I love his podcast.
Dude,
bro.
I love the podcast.
I listen to each and every one.
Same.
Have you seen and the reason why I brought conspiracy thing in is because Alex Jones talked about it.
Yeah.
And that was his
third last podcast.
And the guy has some points, but at the same time, there's a lot of fact checking that was happening in the background all the time.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, but I mean like I don't even remember half of the things like in काफी
थोड़े क्लेम्स उसके जो होते हैं वो एक से दूसरी जगह जंप कर जाते हैं तो वो अगर एक चीज की कोरिलेशन है कॉजेशन नहीं है तो वो सीधा कॉजेशन पे चला जाता है ना.
Exactly.
तो वो है उसके अंदर लेकिन उसके फैक्ट्स काफी हद तक वेरीफाई हो रहे थे.
Exactly.
While he was on the podcast. So it's just for me it doesn't matter if the guy is right or wrong. I like listening to other points of views and opinions.
Right.
To even if it is to just justify my own better.
Right.
You know, Like even if I'm a Muslim, I'd like to listen to a Christian's point of view or
Right.
Hindu's point of view, even if it is just to justify my own better. You know, like it's just
Yeah.
a worldly perspective. You get more educated.
Absolutely.
So Alex Jones.
And there's
same
nothing
thing.
wrong with it.
Yeah, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
But
Yeah.
you know, people have a problem with acceptance.
Yeah, and tolerance. Yeah,
There's none of that.
there's no
with us.
unfortunate. Yeah,
I mean, like we
unfortunate.
talk about all of these things a lot of times, like जो industry वगैरह है, like a lot of people talk about this off camera, but people are almost scared to say all of these things in front of the camera, saying कि हमारे अंदर tolerance नहीं है, हमारे अंदर कोई भी चीज़, कोई भी नए ideas accept करने की एक tolerance नहीं है, you know, या हिम्मत नहीं है, या जो भी है.
Yeah,
And I don't know why that is, man.
I
You know,
think
and you know what I like about you the most? You're taking your creative platform to dumb it down for the people who would understand in the language that you know how to speak. You know what I mean? Like you
I'm
really
glad you think so.
no, seriously. And this is why, like, I wanted you as a guest, is one of the reasons, because there has been differences between us.
There have
you know,
been,
there
there
have been
I'm
differences
sure we're going
between
to talk about
Yeah.
that. Today.
I don't want to talk about
I
it.
just,
You know,
I
but
I'll
was
just apologize in advance.
No.
So there is no need to.
It's fine, man. Look, you know, we all evolve.
Hmm.
Hence, like, I saw the evolution, the video evolution. I was
The
like, okay,
evolution.
we're all
We're
evolving.
yes.
Exactly.
He's changing. He took it in that way.
I took it in a positive way.
Good.
But no, I was like, I sent that video to my dad.
Hmm.
I was like, Dad, watch his videos. Like, I don't like the guy, but I love his content. And that's
And
at
then
the
slowly
time.
got over it.
That's yeah. And then I slowly fell in love with you because of your content. Because that's the power of creativity. And I feel like, man, like what you're doing is beyond YouTube. You know.
I had a similar journey with your content, man. I mean, I started watching it as those little videos, those 15-seconders where you're using the laptop, mom walks into the room, your lights turn off. You know, like, you remember those videos? It's very short videos. And I started watching those and I giggled a few times. And then I went like, it's kind of fun. And then there's this group of Canadians that I started seeing.
Yeah.
And most of the content I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
But then slowly and steadily, your identity started separating itself when you started doing your own vlogs.
Right.
And those I started enjoying.
Right.
Because so natural and so fun and like just like unadulterated enjoyment.
Right.
Chal rahi hai na?
Absolutely.
So that really used to cheer me up.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm a really serious guy. so
I can tell.
so I need a little bit of that in
Right,
life.
right.
And thank you for that.
No, man.
really-
I mean, like, you know, the thing about films is that I always say this to my friends, that an entertainment industry or the films are basically a language of a country that it uses to communicate with the rest of the world. Think about it. And I feel like my journey and my goal, it's all moving towards a greater dream, which is to basically be an actor in Pakistan. And that's one of the reasons why I moved to Pakistan, is because I really want to pursue acting in Pakistan. I really want to make films in Pakistan. And that's one of the reasons why I moved to Pakistan. And whatever I could do to contribute over here, that's why I've come. And my content, like, I'm just building my way up to that point.
And even like because like the film industry in Canada is quite large, right? And they give you subsidies. And Toronto, with the second generation Desis are making quite a bit of content,
Yeah.
right? Big films and stuff.
Yeah.
And some people actually shifted from Pakistan to Canada to act there
Absolutely.
as Pakistanis or Indians, right?
Yeah.
But you shifted here, so the contribution kind of goes like you're going back to your roots. Jadon ko contribute kar rahe ho. So I think that's like
I
bringing
feel
the
like-
mind drain back, dude.
Yeah, the thing is, मुझे लगता है कि पाकिस्तान की, not Pakistan specifically, लेकिन हमारी culturally speaking और religiously speaking हमारी history बड़ी vast है. Like बड़ी मज़े की history है. I really want to see films being made on the times when Islamic revolution was in play. I really want to make films on time when Islamic scholars were the top of the world, when Baghdad was the education capital of the world. And you know, we even spoke about this briefly on when I left you a voice message when you said कि evolution के ऊपर जो तुमने अपनी video बनाई थी, मैंने कहा कि यार कुछ और भी ideas हैं, please discuss it with me, क्योंकि मेरे अंदर का थोड़ा सा जो छोटा मोटा scientist है ना, the guy who was never into education but at the same time was fascinated by science, like that guy got woken up. You know what I mean? After watching that evolution video, because
and then our conversation got me into Fermi's paradox. I remember
yes,
I
yes.
started reading up on that a little bit more.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'd seen a bunch of videos on it, but I didn't
Yeah.
know exactly like what exactly the paradox was. So, these conversations stimulate the brain, right, into
Yeah.
thinking one thing or the other, and that's what I didn't expect it. I was like, here's a fun message coming up
15
from.
के videos बनाता है. When laptop mom comes in, laptop goes off.
By
Yeah.
then you were making much longer and much more narrative driven videos. So I wasn't expecting 15-second videos. But I mean, of course, I also started from 15-second Vine videos. So
Yeah.
but I didn't expect कि ये scientific बोल रहा होगा कोई. I was like, Fermi's paradox? क्या कह रहा है शावीर? क्या हो गया? And then so surprised. And we met at the Houston Hum Awards as well, right?
Hum Awards के बाद the PISA, Dubai के अंदर.
Dubai के अंदर we met. Yeah, we met at the PISA thing.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like I was trying to break the ice. I was like, dude, I'm sorry, it's behind me. I hope we can move on from that shit.
Dude, I you know, after coming to Pakistan, even before coming to Pakistan, मैंने एक चीज़ सीख ली थी. और ये मुझे ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं हुआ ये चीज़ सीखे हुए. It's I think mid 2018 when I learned this. और मैंने अपना ये belief बना लिया था कि I would never again be a part of any controversy. Ever. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's literally just not worth it. और जितना भी
Good
YouTube पे
decision.
उन ज़मानों पे हो रहा था, and every single time, like even like recently something sparked up and my heart sank because it just takes us back a little.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's weird. Like,
It's also like the type of discourse और जो बातें उसके अंदर होती हैं उस controversies के अंदर, वो किसी को educate या किसी का दिमाग खोलने वाली तो नहीं हो रही होती.
Right.
I mean, as much as I wanted in our previous controversy to be the sort who brings up ideas more than like throwing shit at people, because you end up throwing garbage at people, and it's also grey as well कि you did this, I did this, तू मैं शुरू हो जाता है, you know. As much as I tried to do that, I felt like it was the wrong direction and the wrong way to do it. And it's also negativity का दलदल जिसके अंदर आप एक दफ़ा घुस जाओ ना तो वो आपको अंदर और से और खींचता जाता है. So you came up with that decision earlier, I came up with it later, but same decision for me. It feels like it's the most unconstructive discourse to be a part of.
Absolutely. And I felt the same way when I had like a little rift with Sham. Him and I were friends for a very long time, and then I had this disagreement with him, and then for some reason a part of me decided to make a video on it. And I was like, why? I asked myself this question now, and then I realized it, and then in 2018 I made a decision, no matter what anybody says about me, I'm never going to respond to it. And I think that's the most, it's also very, it's kind of a brave decision because, you know, in this society, silence is acceptance. So you have to make your peace with that. When you don't say anything to the guy who's, let's say, blaming you for something, then you are accepting your fault primarily.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And I said that it's all behind me, and you know, I will never look back. I will never respond no matter what. I'll just keep working. I'll just keep pursuing my dream, because it's not just YouTube. The dream is greater than that. And I just want to run behind it, because I always imagine myself as somebody who's in a very good position, entertainment wise speaking, where I'm very influential. I've made some good work and people are getting to know me for that. That guy, when he looks back, he wouldn't be proud of that guy who said shit about XYZ on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just developed that perspective in my own
Did you delete
head.
the video?
No. I haven't. I just left
I
it.
deleted it.
You deleted it?
I deleted.
No, I don't even know how many videos there are that I've made, and a lot of them don't even have the right titles.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also a problem, you know?
Yeah.
So for that, I was too lazy, and then I just decided it is a part of me, but it's a past.
Yeah.
You know, I shouldn't run away from it, but I should learn from it.
Exactly.
You know?
And same here, man. I guess one of the things was, do I delete the video? Because we all kind of go through periods in our lives where we're not kind of proud of it. Because growing is, do you want to do it in front of people, or do you want to do it alone in a room? Grow. But making mistakes is a part of it, right? And I've made mine people get to see my blemishes and my warts, and they're there online. Apart from that one wart that was just too hideous for me to even look at,
Yeah.
that I just removed it. So yeah, I mean,
No, again, it is what it is.
Moving
and
on.
Moving on. I will tell you how I fell in love with you. Okay, no, true story. I was in Canada, and this is when I I think this is also in 2018.
okay,
This is those same times. I was in Canada. Food is here. Leo.
I don't mind.
Leo.
Kind of hungry.
Are you
That a
hungry?
cake?
Hungry? There's a cake.
No, I don't mind
chips.
the cake. Yeah, I don't want to
यार
eat.
कुछ खाने को लिया है और खाने के लिए भी
It'd
लिया.
be very
हमारे
disgusting
मोरू भाई को
to
भूख
kind of
लग रही है.
khata. Oh, look at the cat, dude! You got a cat.
I have 2 cats.
I
The other
love
one is right
cats.
over there. Look over there.
Oh no way! Man, I love cats.
Same here. इलियास ये कैमरा पड़ा है. इसको पीछे ले जा. इसको ना 1 सेकंड ये यहाँ पे रख दो चिप्स उठा के यहाँ पे रख दो. और मुझे चाय दे दो. Sorry guys. 2 seconds. All right. So I was ASMR.
Yeah.
मैं कनाडा में होता था and I saw your video in which you were explaining how you moved from Lahore to Karachi and why so. You're based in Lahore, right? And you moved to Karachi, not the other way around,
Yeah.
right?
Now I'm moving back.
No, to Lahore?
Yeah, I'm here for 6 months.
Nice.
Yeah. So now it's like a balance. It's like 6 months here, 6 months there.
That's good.
So I'll spend the best of the weather conditions over here, which is the winter. And then when summer, it becomes like unbearable.
In Karachi?
In Lahore. Karachi, so still you got wind and stuff. Lahore is unbearable in
Lahore,
summer,
of course it is. हाँ डाल दो. अच्छा, I was gonna say कि I saw that video and the way you had constructed that video, the way you had directed it. Moreover,
Remember which one it is?
bro, it's the one in which you were talking about why you moved to Karachi. Like your family was against it and everybody was asking you questions. Karachi में अकेले जाके क्या करोगे? And the way you
that one.
और तुमने उसके अंदर गाना भी कोई गाया था.
Thing.
हाँ,
Yeah,
हाँ,
the
हाँ,
musical
हाँ,
blog.
हाँ.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I
Fun.
was so surprised. I was like, this guy has a great vision for films.
Thank you.
Why are you wasting your time on YouTube, my friend?
I'm taking that leap. I'm writing a film right now.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it about? Is it like something you can talk about? Or?
I can give you the genre. I mean, it's a romantic comedy.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's my role in it?
There's a role. Now that we're talking about it, it just struck me as I was talking to you.
Acha.
कि ये हो सकता है.
Really?
Because I'll tell you the plot later.
Okay.
There are ways that this is going to happen. There's
Okay.
definitely. So there's a role for you there, and for sure. There's a role for me as well. The main role is a girl's role. So we'll be side characters.
I don't mind.
But it's a great idea. I'll tell you about it after we
No,
stop
absolutely.
rolling.
More power to you. I'm glad you're taking that leap because the earlier you make that decision, the better it is going to be for Pakistan in the long run.
I don't
Because
know, man.
it's contribution. I look at it as contribution, as something that you are doing for the greater purpose. And again, I feel like it's, if not for us, because quite frankly, the baby boomers didn't do much for this country, honestly.
Yeah, man.
They're the reason why we're here. Wherever you see, baby boomers are the reason why the world is doing great, except Pakistan.
Yeah.
Sadly, but the bitter truth has to be, talked about.
Yeah.
So the elders haven't done anything, and if our generation, you and I, we don't step into something like that, and we don't try to make a change, then it just would never happen. And I feel like
it feels like they were just like despondent. They were like hopeless. They're like, I remember जब मैं बचपन में कहता था कि मैंने म्यूजिशियन बनना है, एरोस्मिथ के अगर मेरे और ब्रायन एडम्स के पोस्टर्स लगे होते थे उस वक्त, I used to be like, मैंने म्यूजिशियन बनना है, मैंने ये फिल्मिंग करनी है, या I'd be watching Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas and I'd be acting like the gangsters in it. And or like I'd watch like Martin Lawrence's like Nothing to Lose and I'd act like I'm black African American, or Eddie Murphy and stuff. That they'd be like, what are you doing? Like, this is never gonna happen. This is just for fun, by the way. You should know this is just for fun. And I'd be thinking in my head, if they only knew, I want to do this forever as my job, as everything, nothing else. I don't want to do jack shit. So they would just be like, don't do it. It's not possible. There's only one PTV. And how many people are going to get employed out of the millions that exist? And usme se bhi kitne talented ho tum top of the cream ho. Now there's so much more opportunity. They didn't see it coming. They didn't know YouTube would happen or any of this stuff. So there was just hopelessness when it came to art because the commerce of it was zero.
I think there's
you know?
also there was also like a cultural problem as well.
For sure.
For example, like my dadi to this day, I don't blame her for it because that's her entire life's thought process. You cannot really judge that anymore. You know, you can judge that when she was younger and somebody was brainwashing her then. But like, if you really get to think about some of the thoughts that, you know, older people, the generation before us had, it's really like, I just don't want to sound rude, but it's embarrassing.
Dude, it's racist at times. My dadi,
At times? At times?
It's always racist. My dadi, rest in peace, when she was alive, I brought one of my girlfriends home, and I was just like, I'll show off. Because, you know, my dadi was all about like, men should have girls around them. So I was like, okay, let's show off. So this angle was a non-traditional angle, but the one that's coming up is very traditional.
Can't relate. Hashtag.
I walk in with this
Right.
girlfriend. She's dark. She's like,
Okay.
nahati nahi? I was like, yeah. She's dark, dude. It's not gand. And she would just like say it in front of her. And it was just embarrassing. Me and my girlfriend had to leave.
Shit.
He's like, I'm so sorry. She's like, I understand. This, like, you can't get angry at a dinosaur. You know, like, that's another time, another place. So, yeah.
I mean, like
racist.
the example I was giving is not as bad, but it's just weird to think about it because it's also hypocritical at times. For example, गाने नहीं गाने क्यों? क्योंकि ये मरासियों का काम है. लेकिन गाने सारे सुन रहे हैं क्यों? क्योंकि मजे के तो हैं. You know. So if you think about it, if you get to think about it, I think there's a cultural shift that's happening. And my cousin Sundas always says something. She's, by the way, usually the co-host over here, but she hasn't
she's not here.
come today. She was busy.
Hmm.
But she always says that, you know, if we decide to make a change now, like a cultural shift, agar yahan pe hoti hai abhi, that's still going to take a course of 2 to 3 generations to come and to complete that cycle would complete, and then everybody would move on and nobody would remember this generation or the things we were doing.
Yeah.
And I agree with her.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with there not being economic opportunity and art being a high risk activity in the first place everywhere in the world. Well, in America, there was Hollywood, so there would be like, acha, Hollywood mein itne zyada log employ ho rahe hain, there's a whole industry. But if your industry is smaller and your population is still large, then the high risk of it increases, right? So the discouraging aspects of them rear up as well. So you got to revive the industry for the stigma to go away. And I think that's slowly happening, man.
It is.
I mean, you and I hopefully are playing a part of in
Inshallah,
that
man.
thing.
At least we're trying. At
Yeah.
least we're not trying.
Yeah.
You know, at least we're trying. And that was one of the reasons why I moved to Pakistan. जब मैं कनाडा में था मैंने यही सोचा था, मैंने कहा कि यार पाकिस्तान में जाना है क्योंकि इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ मुझे इसलिए ज़्यादा नज़र आ रही थी क्योंकि पाकिस्तान की फिल्म इंडस्ट्री इस वक्त रॉक बॉटम पे है. इससे ज़्यादा नीचे जा नहीं सकती. If there's anything that's going to happen to the film industry, it's going to go up.
Yeah.
And if I can add to that, I would be proud later, sometime later in my elderly...
What about TV? Have you thought of television?
I have, man. And television just doesn't... If I'm completely honest, television doesn't creatively inspire me. And that is the only reason why I've stayed away from it. I've had some opportunities. I've had some good offers, actually. But the only reason कि मैं नहीं करना चाह रहा is not because I'm too egotistic या फिर मैं अपने आप को बहुत बड़ा समझ रहा हूँ या जो भी है. It just doesn't creatively inspire me. I feel like the stories, they revolve around one character, and that character happens to be some sort of a woman who's in a position of either a saas, bahu या बेटी. And I feel like वो बस वो ही चलता रह रहा है. There are really creative television series being produced now, but I'm talking about the vast majority.
And they're also mostly going on web series.
Yes.
Like they're going on television.
And I'm very open to do something that creatively inspires me or creatively challenges me, but not Saas Bahu.
Yeah.
That is just something
Done to death. It's over, man. And plus, like the audience, like, so you're already making an impact on. I'm assuming this will be the way out for you. By way, I mean the wazan wala way, not the way out.
Okay.
Is you're already making something on YouTube. you already have an impact. Now, do you want to do something that caters to only aunties sitting at home cooking food and watching TV? Because that's the demographic that Hum TV or all these Saas Bahu drama hosting TV channels.
Yeah,
kind
and
of
that is
cater
why
to.
they don't take risks. That is why they don't produce films that they think would work. For
Yeah.
example, like I'm very sure about this. I think अर्तुगरुल इसीलिए इतना हिट हुआ है क्योंकि लोग थक गए हैं. लोगों को चाहिए था कुछ नया, और वो एक जबरदस्त पैकेज के अंदर, एक जबरदस्त प्रोडक्शन के साथ, एक नैरेटिव के साथ, जो भी थी उनकी डायरेक्शन जैसी भी थी, लेकिन एक प्रोडक्शन क्वालिटी लाइक इट लुक्ड नाइस
Yeah.
and people appreciated it.
Dude, and you know the strangest thing I found out, I was working on this social media awards thing, Hum ke liye. And in there, people were telling me that Hum translated Artugrul into Urdu, put it on their channel, nobody saw it. For a year, it was running like that. Nobody saw it. Because, so now this kind of to me just goes to show, Imran Khan says, watch Artugrul, sets the context, tells people कि इस ज़ाविया नज़र से आप इस चीज़ को देखेंगे तो फिर आपको समझ आएगी. अब वो हम टीवी जो है वो उनने एक ही ज़ाविया नज़र दिया हुआ है कि भाई आप ये हमारी इंटरनल डोमेस्टिक पॉलिटिक्स ही देखते रहें, हमारे ये चलते हैं फैमिलीज़ के बीच में, ये चलते रहते हैं. उसके बीच में आप अर्तुगरुल फिट करते हैं, योर ऑडियंस जस्ट रिजेक्ट्स इट. दे लाइक ओह where this come from? I'm not looking at this narrative. The narrative and the context that was set earlier for this channel has just been destroyed. So what you've done is you've spoon-fed people into watching a certain type of thing, not created the context, not challenged your audience, and now they're like stuck in the same type of cycle and not challenging themselves intellectually, emotionally, and broadening their horizons. So
Bro, to hell with the challenges. वो
Yeah.
तो एक बहुत बाद में. This is really toxic. If you think about the storylines and what the audience is being fed is the fact that there are only problems in a household. And how to deal with those problems. I would like to see, look, drama jo hai na, I was speaking to somebody about it, and it just made complete sense because I said it and I didn't know what I was talking about, but it made sense. Sometimes
Okay.
that happens too. I was like, drama is actually a genre. But we have taken that as like a form of TV. Think about it. Because that's all we work on. Just drama. There are other genres we should explore. For example, action. जो
Yeah.
थोड़ा बहुत अर्तुगरुल के अंदर था. For example, emotional, romantic type of shit. जो अर्तुगरुल के अंदर था, थोड़ा सा ड्रामा. यानी कि एक थोड़ा सा कुछ अलग साइड पे भी जाके देखते हैं. और आई फील लाइक ये इतना टॉक्सिक हो चुका है सारा, जो कि लड़ाई झगड़े, cheating and all of that, and I feel like that it's brainwashing a lot of children and people and women in the house who are watching these shows, and like every single time, and by the way, people are hooked, including my parents, bro. My dad comes home from work early so he can catch the drama at the right time. You need to
Amazing.
understand the level of.
Same is the case with my mom.
हाँ,
Yeah.
सही है. So they do it, and every single time I walk by, अगर मैं पानी शानी पीने जा रहा हूँ किचन के अंदर और वो बैठे हुए ड्रामा देख रहे हैं, तो 9 out of 10 times कोई ऐसा सीन चल रहा होगा जिसमें कोई ना कोई रो रहा होगा. And for the life of me, I fail to understand how do they carry so much emotion in one freaking story continuously.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what is so wrong with everybody's lives that are being represented. This is a problem of a desi household. It's not realistic. Moreover, it's toxic. People should explore new concepts, please. And
Yeah.
I feel like Imran Ashraf
Yeah.
did something really nice. It was like a romantic
Ranja Ranja?
comedy. Ranja Ranja.
Yeah.
Kya hua?
Oh, I was just thinking. That's me. When I look that way, I'm thinking.
Oh,
It's not like there's something there.
is it always the right
This
side?
sometimes happens. Sometimes it's the left, sometimes it's the right. I've been told that if you look at the left side, you're lying because your
I've been
creative
told
side of the
same
brain
thing.
is being accessed.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's like
I've been told that
lateralization
as
in the
well.
brain. But sometimes I look to think, and people just go like, "Kya?" I'm like, no, I was just thinking, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying Ranja Ranja.
Ranja Ranja की मैं
Yeah.
बात कर रहा था. But now I just yeah. I mean,
Imran
like,
Ashraf, man. He's doing a feature film.
is he?
Yeah.
Which one?
I did a small cameo in it. This is
No way.
Adnan Siddiqui's produced it.
Okay.
And he's the main lead, and he's the main lead, not like the most amount of screen time. He is the man to aspire, and like, because he's not playing that usual weird, crazy character of his.
Okay.
So it's a great departure, and it's great to see him actually like take these kind of risks.
And he's worthy of it.
yeah.
I'm
Great
sure
actor.
he did justice to that. Because what he did in Ranja was phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Yeah. I wanna see, our generation or somebody creating films that really inspires the youngsters into thinking more than just your, as you said, political issues, yeah, ghar ke masle. Isse bahar nikal ke there's a world of possibilities outside of the household, outside of the bubble everybody puts us in and keeps us and tries to keep us in there because of some cultural compulsions or religious compulsions that I'm sure we cannot openly talk about, but
Yeah.
but it is a fact.
There's a way to talk about it.
I'm sure.
And that way has to be kind of like in a way that you're
बहुत
not
ठेस उर्दू
preaching.
में मूरू के ख्यालात पे
हाँ ठेस उर्दू कर दो ना तो
हाँ.
जो लोग जो जरा थोड़े इग्नोरेंट लोग होंगे वो वैसे एलियनेट हो जाएंगे और छोड़ देंगे वीडियो
हाँ.
को. और
जैसे कि मुझे बड़ा मुश्किल से समझना पड़ा था.
मैंने अंग्रेजी के सबटाइटल लगा दिए हैं. So you
अच्छा?
just click on the captions and now you get English subtitles.
समझ तो लेता हूँ मैं क्योंकि 2 and 2 together ही put करना होता है उसमें कोई इतनी
Yeah,
fancy बड़ी
yeah.
बात है.
And I'm sure you're familiar with them anyways.
Mm.
It's just developed in an English language thing. My intellectual thought also exists in English language, and I challenge myself to do it in Urdu. And I've
Same.
seen a bunch of like philosophers talk in Urdu. So there's a style of talking that I've adopted from Gandhi Saab, who's like my philosophical and religious hero. So I just kind of imitated him for years. I mean, I was at college about 10 years ago, and I was just watching his lectures day and night, locked in a room, watching movies and watching Gandhi lectures. So from
Nice.
that kind of came this way of expressing myself. But वैसे मेरी intellectual thought सारी अंग्रेजी में ही develop हुई है, क्योंकि जो सारे philosophers हैं उनके काम ही अंग्रेजी में मिलते हैं मुझे. And it's the most readily accessible language. So, or for intellectual thought at least.
Right.
Religious thought I went Urdu on, because अंग्रेजी में मुझे alienation महसूस होती थी.
Right.
इधर का हूँ, इधर से ही सुननी है सारी religious बातें, तो इधर की ही ज़ुबान में समझना चाह रहा था. So yeah, that the amalgamation has come across. But yes, people tell me a lot. Complicated concepts require complicated language. Unfortunately, I can't be sloppy with it. I have to use the accurate word to
Yeah.
describe what I'm saying, because otherwise they
You're
take
way
you out
too
of
accurate,
context.
bro.
I gotta be accurate, dude. Like
Get a little casual, bro.
one of the controversies that I had was I was discussing something about nature.
Right.
It was about, I was talking to a spider, and the spider was saying, "I'll molest your children," and and I was like, "I'll molest you," and people got really pissed. So at that point, it was a turning point for me where I understood, and there was like people like kind of like there was an outrage mob against me on Twitter at that point, and I never apologized because I was trying to make a point. But what I did learn from that was कि you have to be very accurate with your language, because if they don't understand कि किस context से किस नुक्ते नज़र से आप बात कर रहे हैं, तो वो आपकी बात को मुड़ोड़ के कहीं भी लेके जाके आपके खिलाफ outrage हो सकता है उनको. तो people I met later, like who didn't understand, just saw it out of context, the video, told me, "Oh no, you said that wrong." I was like, "What did I say?" They don't even know what I said. They just made up their opinion on me, and they kept held on to it. So that prompted me to be more and more precise about what I'm saying and use humor in a way where even that cannot be used against me. So because stand-up comedians, they say a lot of weird, messed up
Shit.
things.
But the way they articulate a sentence, it sounds offensive, but it's also funny.
It's funny.
So people just let it go.
Yeah.
Do you know the the champ of sarcasm? I don't know if you're into, are you into a lot of stand-up comedy?
I love stand-up.
Do you know Louis C.K.?
I love Louis C.K. I mean, I can't say that anymore, can I?
No.
Did you see the new stand-up, the special?
No, I haven't actually.
And it's on his own website. You have to pay $15 or something to get it.
And you did?
I did. And it's vicious. It's unapologetic. It's sacrilegious. It's insane. He holds no bars, basically. Is that the correct phrase? Or maybe it is. But he goes for it. So
Really?
Savage is the word that I hear a lot these days. Savage is savage, dude. So
I don't know. To me, he's just his sarcastic comedy is so on point. It has developed the way he finishes his sentences. I'm so sorry if anybody gets hurt, but I'm just quoting him. He was like, there are all kinds of messed up baby in the world. There are babies with 2 heads, they're babies with black legs. They're Chinese babies. Just the fact he said it with like a little grin on his face, like everybody cracked. It's so wrong, but he does it all the time. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's jump back. We're skipping topics. हम लोग क्या बात कर रहे थे? हाँ, कि how content can inspire the younger audience. क्योंकि इसके पीछे, by the way, मेरी अपनी personal story भी है. I feel like what inspired me the most was films like Three Idiots and films like PK. जिसके अंदर एक
same director, same writer.
Exactly. And that's what same with Munna bhai. I love that guy. Raju Kumar
Hirani
something. I don't remember. Rajkumar Hirani. I love the way he expresses his जो narrative building होती है within the script and the way he's leaving with messages throughout the film. I feel like that's amazing. And he is the same guy who I think made Sanju. He is.
He did make Sanju, and he made one more. So I was trying to break down how he approaches his screenwriting process. And in Three Idiots, he takes the education system.
Right.
In PK, he takes the religious institutions and that system.
Right.
And he always has like a particular institution that he wants to criticize. And he uses an outsider perspective both times in PK and in Three Idiots. He uses an outsider, a guy who's not a part of the system.
Who doesn't have any biasness for the system.
Who's an oddball. Either in the case of Three Idiots, he's an oddball.
Right.
He doesn't fit into the education system.
Right. So nobody can judge him. Nobody can claim कि अच्छा ये तो मुसलमान था तो इसलिए
Yeah, but he's right.
Absolutely, man.
In those cases, like it's a real screenwriter masterclass to kind of dissect how he approaches it and how he just like एक emotionally आपको एक तरह से convince भी कर रहा है और दूसरी तरफ intellectually भी कर रहा है तो I'm like ये क्या बंदा है यार. Love it.
और सारों चीज़ों के बीच में there is the story is full of emotions. You're crying throughout. You're laughing throughout. And the way he balances all of that, the way he plays with your emotions and the balance with emotions, it's freaking brilliant, man. Yeah. And I feel like हमारे पास भी इस तरह की चीज़ें होनी चाहिए हैं. हमारे पास भी ऐसे writers होने चाहिए. हमारे पास भी ऐसे filmmakers होने चाहिए. And somebody has to start the process.
Yeah.
Somebody has to go like, okay, man, let's try doing this.
Yeah.
There are investors, there are people, but they're just so like for some
things are happening, man. I mean,
slowly, yes.
Chudels, I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't. I heard a lot about it though.
Check it out. Don't listen to what people have to say. Come up with your own opinion. Asim Abbasi is, I think, the next. Well, the only and quite a jump in progress in storytelling. The way the scripts are written, man, it's like वो Breaking Bad देखिए. एक point आता है ना कि you can't stop watching. And there's a cliffhanger and there's like you're invested in every single character's story arc. That happens in this as well. About third episode down, fourth episode down, and you can't stop. And then it's like so rewarding to see the character arcs and the way they go.
How many episodes are there?
There are 10. He wrote 10 episodes in 8 months, and then within a year and a half he produced them and released them.
He produced it himself.
Yeah.
And he sold it to somebody.
Feature films that are being written and have not even seen production yet. And he wrote, directed, edited, produced and released.
Edited himself?
Well, he's got 2 editors. Very good editors. Lal Kabutar ka Kamal Khan was an editor and another guy is also a good editor. I forget his name, but
shit.
He had a great team. And a great
at least he's on it. There's somebody who's on it.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of laziness in this society. I feel like, you know what the thing is, bro? Ever since I've come over here, and I'm not complaining because I'm comparing.
But you're not.
but I'm complaining for the fact that people need to understand this and could possibly become better. So look at it from a positive angle, please. But I feel like people are very, very laid back. Very laid back.
You're also in Lahore, so that's a Lahori problem as well.
Just in general, not even about filming, bro. Just in general, any work. Like I'm trying to, start a clothing brand, and I went to this factory and I told them what I want. I made a whole document first, and uske andar sari dimensions, the picture of a logo, like a digital design of the logo and everything, like a full document with everything. And I gave it to them, and I said, listen, I want 5 designs. So basically 5 samples. 3 of them are going to be small, medium, large for the sizes, and 2 of them are going to have logos in different sizes so I can compare them. And everything is black on black. There's no other color. Black logo, black shirt. 2 weeks later, which was 1 week after what he had promised me initially, he sends me 2 designs, 2 samples. One was white shirt with black logo, and the other shirt was black shirt with a white logo.
Oh no.
I was literally sitting on the ground like this. I was like,
Yeah.
like, are people dumb? Like, are people stupid?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening here? And I'm struggling, man. You know,
Dude,
it's
I had
really
to-
hard to find people who know how to work and who are willing to put their heart and energy into the projects the way you do. And you know, I read a lot of autobiographies, and I get inspired by a lot of people who have who have made it in life at such a young age. For example, Elon Musk freaking started PayPal. उसके बाद लात मारी पैसों को जाके SpaceX और Tesla और एक सोलर एनर्जी कंपनी के अंदर उसने सारे अपने पैसे इन्वेस्ट कर दिए. फिर सारी कंपनीज डूब रही थी. उसने अपनी बीवी को जाके कहा, अगर मुझे अपना घर भी बेचना पड़े और तुम्हारे पेरेंट्स की बेसमेंट में जाना पड़े रहने के लिए सारी ज़िंदगी के लिए, तो मैं पहले अपनी कंपनीज को बचाऊंगा, फिर अपने आप को बचाऊंगा.
बीवी छोड़ के नहीं गई. हाँ,
बहुत छोड़ गई थी बाद में, लेकिन छोड़ गई थी. बट द पॉइंट इज कि ही इज गेटिंग शिट डन. ही इज 44, 3-4 कंपनीज है. द गाय इज हिज ओन chief engineer designer of his own rockets, and he did not know anything about rockets. वो बेचारा रशिया गया था. रशिया जाके उसने रॉकेट्स खरीदने की कोशिश की. रशिया के अंदर उसकी बेइज्जती कर दी वहाँ पे. Have you read about him?
No, I haven't. I've seen his interviews on Joe Rogan. That's it.
Really?
And well,
he's a very fascinating character, bro. I'll actually, if you,
he's like the Tesla, right, of this time.
Yeah.
Well, he called his company Tesla.
He literally owns Tesla.
He literally owns Tesla.
He owns Tesla, bro.
Yeah.
No, but he went to Russia.
But he's a successful marketed version of Tesla. Tesla was like a guy who was a misfit.
Right.
He used to live alone. I don't know if you saw Prestige Nolan ki, which kind of loosely based on Tesla as well. But yeah, like tell me, I'm interested.
Okay, basically what happened was, and these are the kind of human beings I get really inspired by, and I start to think that क्या हमारा दिमाग इनसे मुख्तलिफ है? क्या ये हमसे बेहतर है? And nah, I don't think so. It's just the way he approaches life and versus the rest of us. Like dummies. He probably looks down upon us like dumb people wasting their time on drinking coffee and tea and, you know. So he goes to Russia. He wanted to get a rocket. So when he was on the plane, his friends compiled the video of all of the failed rocket experiments. Now there's a reason कि जितनी भी दुनिया में जो भी companies या firms rockets बनाती हैं, they're subsidized by the government. टैक्स पेयर के पैसे पे. क्योंकि आपका रॉकेट एक बड़ा इंट्रिकेट चीज़ होती है. उसको देयर आर मोर देन 1 million components that could, more than 1,000 things that could go wrong, and the slightest issue could blow up the whole damn ship. So he goes to Russia to buy one of those so he could so he has a head start. So he goes to Russia, he's sitting in a meeting, and he goes like, I want 3 rockets, and they go like, we'll give you 1 in that price. He's like, no, I want 3 in this price. And they really insulted him over there. Like they really got under his skin कि हाँ तुम तो outsider हो और तुम्हें तो कुछ नहीं पता है. उसका मजाक उड़ाया उसने. So he was furious and he left the meeting. On the way back on the flight, he literally did a back of an envelope calculation of the raw materials that would make up the rocket. And he came up with his own costing. Comes back home, takes a couple of months, reads a lot of books on how to construct a rocket. Now he's his own chief engineer, freaking designer for his own rockets that NASA goes like, we don't know how you're building them because it's the first rocket that has a reusable tank.
Oh yeah.
Rockets are not reusable. सही है. Rockets are like ये शीशे की बोतल नहीं होती, आप कोक पी के फेंक देते हो, इस तरह होते हैं. रॉकेट्स उड़ते हैं, वो फिर वापस नहीं आ सकते क्योंकि जो चीज जानी होती है ना, जो पेलोड सेक्शन होता है, इट्स लिटरली 5% ऑफ द मास ऑफ द रॉकेट. वो टॉप पे लगा होता है, इतना सा हल्की सी टोपी होती है वो. बाकी पूरा
उसको खाली ऊपर ले जाने
के वो थ्रस्ट के लिए होता है, उसके अंदर सारा फ्यूल होता है. सो ही हैज फिगर्ड आउट अ वे फॉर टू सेंड द रॉकेट अप, and the rocket comes down like this and lands like this.
What a guy.
And with the precision he developed that or helped develop.
But his first rocket, I mean I'm assuming ये अगर पहला rocket था जब ये रशिया से वापस आया था, तो वो तो उड़ के उसके सामने ही फट गया था.
हाँ. He
and
had
then he's
3
like, let's
failures.
go back to the drawing board.
He had 3 failures. And the third failure was his last failure क्योंकि उस वक्त this was also the time when 2018
the housing
2008 housing bubble
housing
crashed.
bubble, yeah.
सही है. तो दुनिया की स्टॉक मार्केट वैसे ही क्रैश कर गई थी, कंपनीज के पास पैसे इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए नहीं थे, नासा ने जो उनको रिवॉर्ड दे दिया था उससे बैकआउट कर लिया था, लाइक एवरीथिंग वाज जस्ट गोइंग अगेंस्ट हिम, ऑल ऑफ हिज कंपनीज क्रैश्ड, इवन टेस्ला क्रैश्ड. टेस्ला की जो रोडस्टर निकली थी उस पर आग लग गई थी, सो ही वाज जस्ट गोइंग थ्रू अ लॉट ऑफ बैकलैश एट द टाइम.
Wow.
एंड दिस वाज, ही सेड लाइक समथिंग हैपेंड, एंड इफ यू रीड द बुक, कुछ 10-15 मिनट के टाइम पीरियड से इसकी कंपनी बैंकरप्ट होते होते बच गई थी.
Wow. वो क्या हुआ उन 15 मिनट में?
Well, he had to make a decision. He had to take a decision जिसके अंदर he could either save all of his companies by investing little in them, or save one of them confirmed, but then the rest two would die confirmed. So he decided to try to save all three, but all three could have been dead.
Wow.
And the market was closing something. I don't remember the exact details, but the point is, man, a very fascinating guy. I feel like
Yeah, I mean, but then great people are born in circumstances that help them realize their greatness as well, right? So, agar if he's born in America,
he's not.
is he not?
He's South African.
He's What? When did he shift to America?
He
Childhood.
moved. No, he moved to Canada when
defies everything. This guy.
he moved to Canada when he was 17 years old.
Shut up.
Not a place to live, by the way.
What?
Not a place.
That's madness.
He just booked a ticket. There was some uncle who was in Canada, didn't have his address, just flew, and he was like, "Where do I go now?" Bro, dude, this is the guy when he started his company. He could only afford one place, the office place.
Oh wow.
He used to live there on the sofa, take weekly showers in some gym, and used to code all day, every day. When he
For
was
PayPal, huh?
for PayPal, X.com. With
Yeah, it's such a strange departure to do something programming and then go into so many different things, right?
All of his projects are future proof, kind of, and that's the way I have developed my thinking process as well. A smart businessman always invests in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, when he started Tesla, लोग गालियां दे रहे थे उसको, लोग कह रहे थे 2001 के अंदर क्या बैटरी पावर, क्या मतलब बैटरी पावर.
कितने साल लगे होंगे इसको? बहुत साल लगे होंगे for it to be commercially viable.
15 years. 10-15 years.
Wow.
मैं जाके
Much
company
longer than Ford took.
हाँ.
Yeah.
But now
Because
it's
Ford
the
is
most
the biggest
valuable
example
company.
of this. Huh?
Now it's the most valuable company, the car company in the world.
Is it?
Tesla.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Acha.
Yeah, I'm a Tesla stock owner as well,
Oh really?
and you should too.
I mean, it's already the most valuable. I don't know if it's the best time to buy now. I should have bought earlier. But yeah, like, I mean, now that I was thinking, okay, you need to be great. You got the genetics, let's say. There's something predispositional about it.
There is.
Right?
There is.
There's
Because I think
something
he has
like that.
he has like a psychological issue as well. For example, if he's focused onto something, and that kind of work as blessing in disguise, that when he's focused on something, his mom used to say this कि अगर आप उसके सामने आके drums भी बजा रहे होगे ना, and he's looking at something, he wouldn't even notice you. It's almost like meditation. He fools his brain. He fools his brain into thinking that this is the only thing that matters. That's it. That's it. Nothing else
Crazy
matters.
amount of focus and attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is what has gotten him this far. Because when he gets into something, he truly gets into that thing. He doesn't procrastinate.
And even in that, like the Rogan interviews, it's like when he asks him a question, it seems like he's thinking all the possible permutations of an answer and considering it every time.
Yeah.
If you ask me a question, I usually just go with like, oh, I have a preset answer for this question. But this guy reconsiders it every time. So that reevaluation of a question every time probably clarifies his thoughts so much every time.
There's actually a concept known for that, actually. Somebody mentioned it to me not too long ago. If I'm not wrong, if somebody's listening and they know what I'm talking about, they can correct me. But there is 3 states of brain.
Okay.
Alpha, beta, and theta.
Okay.
And the conversation we're having right now is an alpha brain. It's in the conscious side of the brain. Like this is like the conscious conversation. मैं तुमसे कोई सवाल पूछूंगा, तुम्हारा नाम क्या है? Mooroo. You don't have to think about it. It's almost like a reflex. You don't have to think about to do it. You just do it. Then there's a side of the brain which is subconscious, which is very fascinating. And this is when you meditate a lot, you start tapping into your subconscious side. You start thinking from that. You start changing your. This is the subconscious part of the brain is in the back of your brain apparently. Okay. And this is where your religious belief, your cultural beliefs, your geopolitical beliefs sit.
Okay.
These are permanent.
Okay.
They're modeled to change, but they're permanent for the time being. And maybe that's what he has access to, and maybe that is just like where when you're saying that he's just thinking about all the possibility variations of all the answers and what they may lead to. Maybe that's what he's thinking about. That's the side of the brain he's articulating or using to answer questions.
I mean, being able to control your subconsciousness would mean that you can control the patterns of neural activity that your brain is taking place, and then recognize this is a dead end, this is not a dead end.
Yeah.
Let's promote this one.
Yes.
And most of the time, we're just kind of going with emotions, right? I mean, these reactionary videos that we were talking about earlier, which are about controversies and stuff, they're all really not just being able to control your emotions, and you're reacting.
Yeah.
And you're reacting to anybody who says anything, or some guy you don't like on the internet, some TikToker you want to make up. You're reacting like, screw this guy, let's make a video. So you're not being able to actually reflect, I feel. This has at least been the journey for me.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, same here. It's
just reacting out of an emotional place or a subconscious, I guess, theta part of the brain. But what's the third side you were saying?
theta. I see, man, honestly, I just had I can't speak about it because I don't know a lot about it. But
that's okay.
But
still speak
shit
about
is
it.
real. Let me just tell you, somebody came over, somebody helped me meditate, and it quite literally gave me a perspective of myself that I didn't realize.
What did you do? Breathing?
Okay, if I were to really explain what happened with me, I'll tell you. So there's this friend of ours who I recently became friends with, and he talks a lot about brain science and the way you think and the way you construct thoughts and the way your belief system lies and everything. And he's such a uniquely intelligent guy that he kind of put a perspective of how you never control your brain, but you can. Because the brain controls everything in your body. For example, if your finger is hurting, it's not actually hurting. It's the nervous system in your body that's alarming you कि भाई ये टिप ना दर्द कर रही है. सही है? अगर आप इसको सुन कर दोगे, you can fool it. आप अपनी नर्वस सिस्टम को आपको पता ही नहीं लग रहा आपको दर्द हो रहा तो आपको दर्द नहीं हो रहा.
Yeah.
आपका बॉडी तो डैमेज हो रही है ना फिर भी.
Yeah, it's like that David Blaine puts like things through his hand. And like Buddha used to, like, pain is a matter of opinion, he used to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And this is exactly what he says. There are people in this world who have controlled their bodies in a way, who have learned their nervous system to the point where they can control blood flow in their nerves. Factually true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Wim Hof?
No.
So there's this guy, he does these breathing exercises. And Wim Hof is world renowned now for someone who can climb like icy mountains in his chaddas. वो चड्डों में करता है. उसने वो नहीं होती जो ऊपर बर्फ बनी होती है और नीचे पानी होता है. I don't know what you call them. Lakes that are frozen.
Okay, yeah.
He put a hole. He swam in the lake. His eye got frozen. Thawed. He swam. He came out the other end. He did his breathing exercises. His eye slowly started moving. It was stuck.
Is there a video for that?
There's videos all over the place, and they put like things on them, scientific measurements करने के लिए body की blood flow and ECG and all sorts of things. Okay, what is actually happening that he's making people do these breathing exercises, and then he can climb up a mountain in chaddas and he doesn't even feel cold because he's got the homeostasis running of the body in such a hot way that the body doesn't feel cold. And so you can like, and that guy's like a strange, like शुरू में मैं मानता नहीं था, मैंने कहा ये हो ही नहीं सकता. Then I started watching his videos. I was like, okay,
because that's your subconscious brain talking. हो ही नहीं सकता क्योंकि आपका belief system नहीं है ना.
Yeah, belief system.
आपका वो है कि आपने सारी जिंदगी ये चीज देखी नहीं है. For example, some people do levitate. It's also a
hard
thing.
For me to believe.
Hard for me to believe
I
either.
See it.
So yeah, I gotta see it too.
Yeah.
But people have seen me who have given me first responses. I have seen it personally. That defies Newtonian physics.
Yeah.
It literally does. So what do you believe in? Gravity doesn't exist? No, it does exist. But what happens is when you reach a level of your, when you tap into the true side of the brain that is ruling the world or making you think time works in a certain way, and when you start controlling it, then you can do anything. Then you can change anything.
Just through the brain.
Just through the power of the brain. What do people do when people can read your thoughts? You've seen it. Magicians do it.
Never happened to me. Never happened to me.
No, I mean like It would if I were to bring somebody to you.
I'd be scared and I'd run.
I was very scared and I almost ran. I was in your position, bro. No, they would say, okay, think of a thought that nobody knows.
Mhm.
Just a thought. Don't say it out loud. Just think of it. It's a personal thought. Nobody in this room knows it. Think of it. And you would think of it, and then they'll tell you exactly what it is. How does that happen? It's impossible, right?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Because what they're doing, because this is what mentalism is. Like the mentalists karte hain. Is
Yeah.
tarah
Wouldn't you
ki-
want to kill that guy? It's like
for knowing my
where's-
secrets?
Yeah, for knowing everyone's. He can reach it. He's got a special power. No, he's not like us. He is the other, and hence so must be destroyed. And all of us must come together in a hatred towards him and destroy him.
This is what
Why-
our
this is unfair.
cultural logic would
Yeah.
tell you
Us
to do.
versus them.
Yeah. But yeah, man, like I mean, it's strange the way you can control your brain and the way you can. I was talking about the meditation and what happened and what I experienced. Have you ever experienced meditation, by the way?
Then I use this app, but no, I mean,
Okay,
I
no,
feel
no.
like it's just like it's like taking a sauna के अंदर बैठ के लंबे सांस ले लिए मजा आता है मुझे. I
Yeah, but
relax.
meditation is actually the art of truly sitting and thinking about nothing.
Yeah, controlling those thoughts, right? I always have shit popping up.
Because a normal human brain would think of about 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day.
Wow.
60 से 70,000 thoughts a day. In meditation, you tend to just cancel everything out. It's the art of doing nothing. That's what truly meditation is.
Yeah.
So anyways, this guy puts us in a certain position where apparently my left side of the brain and the right side of the brain was balanced. Like it was like this, something like this, right?
Oh, the chakra thing. Yeah.
Chakra.
Huh.
Yes. So yeah. And then he started speaking. Then he close your eyes, look up, and then he just started talking. He started with कि आपका brain किस तरह काम करता है. And then he started talking about a lot of stuff that has to do with consciousness and subconsciousness. And he was explaining everything. He was going through everything in greater detail. और हम सारा सुन रहे. उसके बाद कहता, okay, we're gonna go meet our creator today. I was
Weird
like,
cult
what?
stuff.
I was like, what? I felt like I was hypnotized. He's like, we're going to go meet our creator today. I was like, okay. He's like, okay. Imagine yourselves on a white marble floor. Bro, my feet started getting cold.
What are you saying? Oh, wow.
Then he
So
said,
you're highly hypnotizable. You can take power of opinion, and you're open to suggestion.
sure. I mean, like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't just me in the room.
There were others.
There were others.
They were all feeling cold feet.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
You
Okay,
need to
go on.
understand
Go
this.
on, go on, go on.
It's a different kind of a experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you feel like you're somebody who would block out those thoughts, I challenge you. So yeah, anyways. And then he said there's water on the white marble and you're walking through it. My feet started feeling wet. And then he goes
Did you
like,
look
now
at the feet
imagine.
at that point
No,
to see whether
the eyes are closed.
Ah.
That's the whole point. The
So
eyes
he's
are
doing
closed.
it. Your eyes are closed. He's putting water
No,
on your
he's
feet.
not.
He's making the floor. The floor has got some cold like things
He's
running
bringing
in it.
white marbles in the
White marbles in the room. He's doing
You
it.
guys don't shut up.
This is exactly my skeptical brain just
Yeah.
does not allow
Yeah.
for these.
The room was
But go
dark,
on,
by the way. Yeah. So, no, I understand that. And I was the same way. I 100% before this experience. And then he goes like, okay, guys, imagine 10 steps. Harsha was with me in the room, actually. He's like, guys, imagine 10 steps. Okay. There are 10 steps. And beneath that, there's nothingness. There's not even nothing. There's nothing. कुछ है ही नहीं उसके
खला
नीचे।
है बस।
खला है। Darkness भी नहीं है, light भी नहीं है, बस कुछ भी नहीं है। ये imagine करो. So, we were like, okay. He's like, with the snap of a finger, take the first step. We took a first step. And by the way, उस खला के अंदर वहाँ जो nothingness है, वहाँ पे हम अपने creator से मिलेंगे. Take a first step, take a second step, take the third step. Stop there. And then he was like, okay, now I want you to imagine yourself. We need to clear our hearts. Now I want you to imagine the 5-year-old you. Put him in front of you and tell him that you're happy. And continuously repeat that cycle. Okay, done. Heart's clear. Take another step, take another step, take another step. 6 steps down. He's like, bring the same little boy back and tell them you forgive him for all the mistakes he have made. Because before you go on to meet your creator, You need to be free of all the thoughts and free of all the pain.
ठीक है.
And bro, I started crying.
Wow.
In that experience, I started crying because
It's giving me goosebumps as I'm hearing it.
it was literally like I was like the 5-year-old me was standing in front of me, and I was telling him I forgive you. And then he goes like, "Oh, take another step, 8 steps down." He's like, "That's it, come back." He's like, "We cannot go and meet the Creator today. You guys are not ready for it." And then he brought us back all the way, and then he goes like, "Open your eyes." We couldn't.
What?
That's the messed up part, bro. It was hard
Did
to
he give
open
you
the eyes.
something to drink
No,
before you went?
Nothing. You need to understand. Like, I chill with this guy
Do
for
you know
2
where
3
he
weeks.
lives?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the best friend of my
Has
best
he come
friend.
to your house before?
Quite often.
He could have spiked your drink.
No. He literally touched our forehead.
He did this thing.
He did this to wake us up.
Maharishi Yogi used to do this.
Sahi hai?
Yeah.
He woke up us as in I was sleeping. You need to understand that I fell asleep, but I was completely conscious of what he was saying through and through. सही है. खैर उसके बाद, this is not the most fascinating part. One
मैं
of the
इसके
most
टायरों की हवा निकाल दूंगा. ये बंदा सही नहीं है. इसको कहीं नहीं जाना चाहिए.
one of the best parts was I was like, bro, you told me it's gonna be like 30 minutes. ये तो 10 मिनट में ही आपने खत्म कर दिया. He's like, look at the time. We started at 12 p.m. 12 a.m. यानी कि रात के 12 बजे, and it was 1:30. हम 1.5 घंटा बैठे.
Time dilated.
And it felt like we were just sitting there for 10 minutes. On top of everything, when we went home, my friend Ali was worried because somebody was shouting in the room, giving us like all of these lectures while our eyes were closed. And Ali had come back from somewhere, and Ali was like, "I just came and I was banging on the door at one point. Why didn't nobody open it? I was so scared." And then somebody else told me that they're just having this like meditation in it. And I was like, "Shut up. You didn't bang the door." Because we were in my room doing it.
और वो banging चल रही थी.
And he was like, "I was banging, bro. I did it like 3-4 times. Like I went
Maybe
back."
paid him to say that. Anyways, go on.
No. And I was like, so I asked him, did he hear it? I asked him, did he hear it? He's like, I did, but it came from very far away. So yeah. Mohsen bhai, who was also in the room, I said, Mohsen bhai, I called him up. I'm like, Mohsen bhai, did you hear any banging on the door? Mohsen was like, no. I was like, shut up. I was like, okay, put the phone on speaker. And the guy who was there, I was like, Anik bhai, did somebody bang on the door? He's like, yeah, Ali just came twice. He banged on the door. So why didn't I hear it?
Verification.
क्योंकि मैं
So your soul had left your body and your body was really
Shut up.
That's
नहीं मैंने कहा मैं यही था.
this one is hard to
मैं नहीं
believe.
मरा.
So that staircase going down into the khala जो था, वो staircase के अंदर, it wasn't your physical body. Your ruh was there. Your spirit had left and gone to a realm outside of the material world.
Dude, you're freaking scaring me more than that guy now.
I mean, if I don't believe I'll have to see this to believe it wala to chalega na.
Sure.
But that's the only thing that could be the case, right? What
Pata
could
nahi
possibly... Because, okay, so I've heard like people's DMT experiences, and basically this is what ends up happening. They say that your body leaves, your soul leaves your body. You kind of hear like something breathing far away. Like you'll hear like, oh, you no longer breathe. You have like a happening somewhere really far away, but you're not there. And your soul gets projected out and goes into the spiritual realm. And the way I tie this in is with religion is also that sort of the creation of man came from, a man came out of an egg. ये गांधी साहब की interpretation है कि एक दलदली ज़मीन जो थी उसके अंदर पैदाइश का प्रोसेस शुरू किया गया, वो सख्त हो गई, उसमें एक अंडा बना, अंडे में से इंसान निकला, हैवानी इंसान. So this is animal man. And then that animal man went through stages of evolution. Uski bhi irtiqa hui. And then at some point when he had been perfected the form, from the spiritual world, Adam's soul was taken and put into that man. And that is what you and I, modern man, are. Usse pehle there was, primates, let's say, apes. So it is possible that spiritual realm, somewhere in between is where you were. And going down there is where
the point is I didn't
exist.
Anticipate any of this. I didn't think this was possible. I didn't anticipate it. I wasn't ready for it. Like I was ready for it, but not to the extent where somebody was banging on the door and I could hear his voice, but I couldn't hear any other voice. You know what I mean?
There's something to this, huh?
There,
Shit.
I mean, like, I was on to something. Like, my head was on to something without
Did you do
making
it
me
again? Do you want
realize.
to go into the khala or you're not ready?
Well, he told me I'm not ready for some odd reason.
He told you. Huh?
Yeah, he's like, no, you guys are not ready yet. He's like, I'll take you, but it's gonna take like 3-4 sessions, because once he does, it's gonna be like you'll never be able to forget that. And he's like, there are chances that if you, for the first time, agar main tumhare saath aisa karta, what if you had stayed there? He was saying stuff that just didn't make logical sense to me, but at the same time, it was fascinating me because it was hard for me to come back. Like, he had to wake me up, quite literally. It was really hard to open my eyes. It's not that hard to open my eyes when I wake up from deep sleep, but it was hard when I was trying to open my eyes, and he was like, he did this, then I was like, okay.
Huh.
That was verification.
Your third eye. That's your third eye.
Yaar, mat kar.
Yes. There's like spiritual and religious and people who have kind of done this consciously, and then people whose experiences that I've heard that have done it through chemical shortcuts, which is like, you know,
DMT,
like psychedelics.
huh?
Psychedelics.
See, my argument with psychedelics is, although I understand some of the arguments that they're presenting,
Yeah.
lekin agar aap, if you're tapping into the spiritual side of your brain, you're still providing psychedelics or some sort of a drug to articulate the thinking process.
But then calling it a drug is where you challenge the definition of the word, right?
I'm sure, but is it not one?
It's not addictive. It's not.
Okay, I'm not talking about addiction. I'm talking about, does it play with the way you think?
It's psychoactive. But
there it is.
I mean, a narcotic would be like, I mean, from an Islamic perspective, there's a hadith that says, it's not a hadith, it's actually in the Quran. It says, anything that makes you want to do it more again and again is what you need to stop doing, right? Psychedelics don't do that. So then it doesn't become a drug in that definition of the word. A drug could be a medical thing from the perspective of medical drugs.
Right.
And then if it's a narcotic, then it's only because the government called it to be illegal. And psychedelics were made illegal, and the whole narrative of psychedelics being bad for you were spread during the Haight-Ashbury, like Vietnam War, when the hippies came out and said, all we are saying is give peace a chance movement, where they were anti-government. So Nixon just kind of went like, इनको बंद करो, ये LSD कर रहे हैं और इनको peace पसंद है अब. So I kind of like, so for me it's a gray area in that it's not a drug. I'm trying to figure out how to describe it or define it myself. But if you can consciously do it, there's nothing better, right?
Absolutely.
You don't need any.
And this is what a lot of people do, actually. The monks do it around the world. They have reached the level of peacefulness where, they don't require any worldly pleasures. For example, I feel like all of these guys have a Sufi sense to them. Sufi is like it's like towards the, like it's about religion and all, but I'm talking about not religion. I'm talking about peacefulness. I'm talking about greater energy. I'm talking about,
Sufism has that hal ki state, na? They call it the hal state, where they kind of spin around.
Yeah.
I went
right
to
there. That's it.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I'm big into that.
So that hal state is kind of interesting
That's
as well.
That's actually a portrait of Shams.
Oh.
Yeah, a depiction of Shams.
Very nice.
Have you read Shams and Rumi?
I've
40
read
Rules of Love.
Both a little bit. Like here and there, people quoting them.
Very fascinating.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
So that state basically is achieved through the repetition of some surat or some ayat.
Okay.
They say, and like when I went to अभी गया था मैं लाल शहबाज कलंदर के मज़ार पे.
अच्छा.
और वहाँ पे ये लोग ये इसी तरह का कर रहे थे, घूम रहे थे. And then they were also smoking hash.
Okay.
So there was artificial, there was hash being smoked. So I was like, अच्छा चलो, I guess there's drugs in it as well.
Yeah.
They were smoking hash, and this one guy had like एक हाथ के अंदर he had like joints just like filled up, and he's passing his hand around, like this, and people would be doing and they'd like, I'm assuming it's very strong, and then they'd spin around, and they're spinning, and then they repeat an ayat over and over and over again, and then they puke out of, I'm assuming, motion sickness.
Yeah.
And they achieve the state that supposedly jiske andar you can actually correct your spirit better, and then you can also, the true meaning of the ayat that you've been reciting over and over again. Zikr में भी करते हैं ना, बार-बार एक चीज बोलते हैं. वो true meaning आपको उसी state में समझ आता है.
It's a form of meditation as well, na?
Yeah. So that's what they believe. I mean, and I haven't done it yet. So I want to try it out at some point.
You should take me with you.
I mean, let's do it.
That I'm
It's just that I want.
I'm not gonna do drugs, but I'm gonna spin around.
This puke smell and everything just kind of takes away from.
We'll wear a mask.
I'm like a clean guy. I'm like, oh, lightly treading over the ulti. I'm like, oh, thodi si aur ulti hai. What's that guy doing? Oh man, he looks
very weird. That's a very weird tradition.
It's a strange.
Hey, let's smoke and puke.
and get like the understanding of spirit. But I was sitting there, I felt a presence for sure. And I talked about this in a vlog that I did as well, where I'm like sitting around and like I was also slightly sick from flu and stuff. Maybe that had something to do with it, but there was a different state that my being had gone into. Just sitting there at the mazar.
Achha, over there.
Yeah. But I didn't do any of the
It does, man. It's all about the surrounding as well. It's all about कि आप किस तरह की state में हो, आप किस तरह की जगह पे हो. You start to feel the same way the people are feeling. It's all about the energy. Once again, if you're sitting with positive people, automatically some people would come in your life. For example, it could just be an Uber driver for the matter of the argument, and you can literally sit in an Uber ride for 10 minutes, and you would, if you're having the worst day of your life, and if you have asked God to just put some positivity in your plate for just a bit, something would happen. The universe works in a way, God works in mysterious ways where even if it has to be the Uber driver, he'll cheer you up.
Yeah.
And then you'll walk out and then you're like, shit.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah.
And that is my personal experience. And that is what has brought me closer to my to the spiritual side, to the religious side. Because I've experienced all of these things. I've experienced how money doesn't matter. Yeah. Because a lot of people are in this rat race of making more and more money. And I once got into an argument with a friend of mine who was saying that no matter how much you work, you'll only make what God has put in your naseeb. And I was contradicting that argument. I said, I don't believe that, because if somebody's working 40 hours and another guy's working 80 hours, obviously, logically, the guy who's working 80 hours is going to make more money. He's like, okay, this is how it works. There's a guy who's working 40 hours, he's making $400 a week. There's a guy who's working 80 hours, he's making $800 a week. The guy who worked 80 hours was on his way back and he got a fine for $400. And now he's down to, so net profit is actually $400. And that's what happens when you involve yourself or dilute yourself into this money-making rat race where you don't know you don't care about your passion or dream. Yeah. And that has been my motivation behind it. Not the money, but the passion side towards the filming. And I realized that, and I was like, shit, I don't know what to say to this guy anymore, because it is so true. Yeah. But all you gotta care about is net profit, not profit.
Yeah. I think initially when you're trying to just make ends meet and you're trying to stand up on your own 2 feet in a material world where these things are essential, मतलब कि पैसा एक ज़रूरी चीज़ है ना.
But that's what we tell ourselves, ना?
शुरू में
these things are essential.
I mean, I guess in my case, इतनी भी essential नहीं थी, because I came from a family background where I didn't suffer from economic depression, let's say. Right. But it came to a point where like I had to stand up on my own 2 feet just to, be able to be respected in a family where everybody stands on their feet, right? Economically speaking. Yeah. So when you're starting out with that, you're like, acha, main itni worth hai. I've got to establish my worth in a market, in this corporate ladder, jahan jis duniya mein bhagam daud chal rahi hai, rat race chal rahi hai. So you got to figure out the balance between that. But later on, I agree with you. I mean, same transition kind of took place with me, where I kind of found that there's some people who make naseeb mein itna zyada hota hai ki they're like even working like once a week and they're making a lot, right? Yeah. So the passion is what ends up driving you, because the money's needs are met. Yeah. And if money was all you were going for, it's not going to bring you happiness. At some point, if you got all the money, you're going to be unhappy. Then you'll realize that your actions and your motivations are driven by something deeper, right?
But it's very hard to convince yourself out of, when you're making a lot of money, it's very hard to convince yourself out of it. Even as giving you stress, it just becomes the matter of a habit. Yeah. Okay, you have to wake up early, not because you want to make money, because you're used to making money. Yeah. So it's just a different way of thinking at that point. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what it is. And I feel like alhamdulillah, like where I am right now, I've been very blessed. Okay.
Oh, what's her name?
Her name is Maharani.
Maharani.
Yeah.
Cute.
The other one is Billorani.
I miss my cat. I left her in Karachi.
Aw,
Oof, कितनी cute है यार ये.
they're very loving cats. All they want is just somebody to pet them day and
बैठ
night.
जाओ बस अब बैठ
हाँ,
जाएगी यार.
हाँ.
Does she do this thing?
Oh yeah.
I love
She
that.
scratches her. She puts her claws in my skin and
Oh
just
no, mine
brings
also
them
does
back.
that.
Yeah. So और पैसों की बरकत का भी बहुत सीन है.
हाँ
क्या आप जितने मर्जी पैसे कमा लो कभी कभी यूं निकल जाते हैं और आपको समझ भी नहीं आती कि ये सारा कैश था भाई कहाँ चला गया.
कहाँ चला गया. But like I mean, a firm believer of like investing smartly into things, and like if you're building money, then diversify your income sources, and you know like all of that stuff. Like I go into real estate. I won't like reinvest everything into the same thing.
Yeah.
Imagine like if you were a musician and COVID hit, all your live gigs are gone.
You're done.
If you invested all your money into a restaurant and then COVID hit, that's a
All
hard.
your money's gone.
So it's like diversification, always like
Absolutely.
hedge that risk.
Absolutely.
यार ये कितनी distracting बिल्ली है.
She actually has different eye color.
Oh really?
Different-
Both of them
if
are
you-
different colors.
They're both
Oh,
completely
she's a
different.
mutant.
She is a mutant and she's also deaf.
Oh, she's also deaf.
Yes.
No.
It makes her, the mutation makes her deaf. But what do you mean no?
As in
What if that's a blessing for her? She doesn't have to be, when she's sleeping, she doesn't give a shit.
So मैं जो कर रहा हूँ उसको कुछ
कुछ
समझ
समझ
नहीं
नहीं आ रही.
So she doesn't know that I'm actually like making.
She doesn't know
fun
what sound
sounds.
is.
She does. Does she make her wow sound?
Yeah, it's a very weird noise because her meow has a different scale.
Like she doesn't know what she's saying, right?
She doesn't know.
She's just like-
She has like a. She has like a very thick meow. Mara nahi karo?
Oh, cute.
Karo? Oh yeah, they. Dude, in the morning when. Sometimes अच्छा हमारे घर में ना थोड़ा सा वो सीन भी है like जिन्नात वाला.
अच्छा है यहाँ पे क्या पोजेशन है?
हाँ.
अच्छा सीरियसली इसके अंदर आते हैं इसके थ्रू
नहीं इसके अंदर नहीं आते लेकिन ये मुझे डराती है रात को अक्सर क्योंकि ये ना मेरे कमरे में छुप जाती है रात को और फिर मेरे कान में आके ऊंचा सा म्याऊं करती है और मेरी हाथ में आ जाती है.
ओह माय गॉड तो
Yeah.
जन्नत तो ना हुआ ना आज
नहीं एज़ के वो
What a cutie pie. You like the if I pick her up she's gonna go crazy?
no nothing she's gonna do nothing.
There we go.
They're not neutered so they
They're not tutored, huh? So they get
hello baby bro they okay अगर किसी के पास बिल्लियां हैं they would be able to relate अगर आपने उनको फिक्स नहीं कराया हुआ तो जो फीमेल कैट्स होती हैं मेल कैट्स tend to piss and mark their territory. Female cats go crazy bro they're opening their legs and laying down like all kinds
and
of
looking
shit.
at you straight
Bro,
in the
yeah.
eye. They're looking you in
Bro,
the eye
I
like,
was-
wow, you
Bro,
wanna
I was
you wanna
petting her
little bit?
on the head. I was petting her on the head, and she instantly popped her butt out, put her tail on the side. I was like, no,
I'm not your species. I am not your
no.
species.
And then I realized that when they're mating, the male cat gets on the top and bites the head. So that was her, and that was
it's
her.
a very violent mating ritual.
It
You know
is.
that the spikes come out of the penis, and they rip things up.
Female cats?
Male
Male
cats,
cats?
male cats, and they also eat their children infanticide. So you have to the female cat, this little boo juice, has to guard her children from the man who impregnated her, because if he finds them, there's some sort of jealousy. They'll eat the kids, and mainly the male ones. They'll eat all the males. They eat them. They don't even like. They'll swallow, eat, they'll kill them, leave them on the side.
No, I
of
know.
the
I know
road.
that about cats like lions. Lions
These cats
eat
do the same thing.
because they have अच्छा lions तो बहुत ruthless हैं. जब मैंने lions के बारे में थोड़ी सी research की एक documentary है something पता नहीं उसका क्या नाम है लेकिन आगे से उसका आता है Band of Brothers. I don't know if you have seen it on
I've seen
on
the
YouTube.
HBO movie, the miniseries Band of Brothers about World War II.
No, lions.
Okay.
Lions. So basically what happens is it's like a pair. It's like a brother pair of two lions and they enter this new territory. क्योंकि lions are all about territory. 50-60 मील की उनकी अपनी टेरिटरी होती है उसके अंदर उनके पास 10-15 फीमेल्स होती हैं और 2-3 मेल्स होते हैं और वो मेटिंग शेटिंग करते रहते हैं और बाय द वे उनमें से एक मेल मेट करता है जो कि किंग होता है.
हाँ, और
उनका,
बाकियों
सही
को
है.
फारिग कर देता है.
बाकी को वो फारिग कर देता है. वो लड़ता है. वो हर सीजन लड़ता है अपनी डोमिनेंस आगे रखने के लिए.
हाँ.
कि मैं डोमिनेटिंग हूँ. सही है. तो खैर वो उनको इम्प्रेग्नेंट करता है. अब उसके अंदर वो प्रेग्नेंट हो जाती हैं. दे गिव बर्थ. ऑल द फीमेल्स दे एंड अप गिविंग बर्थ. 8-10 बच्चे इकट्ठे हो जाते हैं. नाउ दैट्स नॉट इट. बिकॉज अगर आउटसाइड से कोई और लायन आ गया जो कि हर सीजन आता है, दिस पुअर लायन हैज टू फाइट दोज लायंस अगेन.
Yeah, because he'll kill the kids.
हाँ. So this band of brothers
Yeah.
enter a new territory. They kill the male lion,
Wow.
kill 13 lion babies, and mate with the new ones. And they left the group. So the new lion comes, kills the newborn babies again, and mates again. And the bro, lions are very ruthless.
Yeah.
You know, lions are smartly ruthless where they would kill the babies, yes, लेकिन वो ना इतने ruthless है कि वो उनको उस चीज से भी चैन नहीं है, and they don't eat it. They just kill it and just divide the baby in half. Like that's the hate
Wow.
towards the baby.
Yeah.
And then I saw this one video where 2 lions were just killing one lion to the point
Yeah.
where they rip the other lion apart, like ripped him apart
Because of what? He had the women?
because
Yeah.
he was fighting for
the-
his dominance,
Yeah.
and these guys were like, okay, let's fight,
Yeah.
and they
Such a
ripped him apart.
strange way of getting your genetic material to be replicated
It's
more.
not that different from humanity, I guess.
Human beings. At
Huh.
least, I mean, we've got sophisticated ways around it.
Now,
Yeah, right now. But earlier, हैवानी इंसान, I guess, वो तो यही
हाँ.
करता था सारा.
you know, we complained a lot, but like we are presently living in the best times that human beings have existed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like we're very close to our extinction as well.
You think so? I mean, with the
Uh-huh.
did you see the new David Attenborough documentary about climate change and
Yeah.
global warming? It was just like he's like a 93-year-old man who's made like Planet Earth and Life and all of these nature.
love
docs. So
him.
he's changed those.
Yeah.
He's seen the change happen in his own life.
Yeah.
And it was a very touching documentary because they showed the really black and white old school Richard Attenborough,
Yeah.
and then the colored one who's sitting is like, oh, now it's over.
That's exactly
We're seeing the life change. I'm like, oh,
I love
man.
him. Have you seen one of his uski ek आई थी documentary where he basically bumped into these untouchables, not untouchables, like a primitive society.
Oh. No, I haven't seen it. Yeah?
You have to. कुछ जिन लोगों को नहीं पता, कुछ दुनिया में ऐसे भी एरियाज हैं जहाँ पे ह्यूमन बीइंग्स काफ़ी अरसे से रह रहे हैं और nobody has
हाँ.
gone there before, they haven't come out yet.
हाँ.
वो प्री हिस्टोरिक, वो medieval टाइम से भी पहले, वो 5000 साल पहले, वो इजिप्शियंस के ज़माने के लोग हैं. They
हाँ.
haven't even developed a proper culture क्योंकि you can tell by their
Yeah.
nudeness. सही
Yeah.
है? That's the essence of culturalism कि आप
Yeah.
थोड़े से कपड़े पहन लेते हो और आप एक लैंग्वेज डेवलप कर लेते हो, आपकी हरकतें चेंज हो जाती हैं थोड़ी बहुत. So they haven't even done that. They're like they have pattas and all of that. उनकी किसी किस्म का भी वो नहीं है. So anyways, he goes over there and it's the most beautiful interaction between two humans who one of them it just truly shows how mankind has evolved. Because he has like a suit, like a kapde on, like a knicker and shirt, and they're just wearing leaves, and he's willing to go forward, and the other guy has a spear in his hand.
There's still no handshake. Huh? Puts the
Haan,
hand
they
out.
do. But no, the other guy has a spear in the hand, and there's a lake in the middle, and he's trying to cross the lake to go and meet them. And the guy on the other side is just like threatening with the spear that don't do, whoever you are, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
And it's like there's some beauty about that interaction. And then eventually he takes about 20 minutes where he passes them with water and some biscuits, and then he finally goes over and shakes their hand, and then they welcome David Attenborough into the house. And
Wow.
it's just
Achha, I
amazing. You
haven't
should
seen
watch
this.
it.
Wow, I
It's
gotta watch
beautiful.
this.
He's a very young David Attenborough at the time. I think he's like 18, 19 years old.
Man. Wow.
But yeah.
Yeah, I gotta see it, man. I mean, endlessly fascinated by the cultures of these untouched. Well, you can't even call them civilizations because they're like tribal cultures.
Huh.
And there's some, like there's this, there's a spiritual ritual that they have in one of these tribes in Africa somewhere that's untouched. Okay, I'm familiar with that sound.
Sony. ये सोनी की थी.
Yes, Sony की थी,
इसकी
हाँ.
बैटरी चेंज कर लो आशिर. हाँ.
तो
continue.
उसके अंदर this is a disgusting ritual. It's like the rites of passage to puberty is that the males, the men, the older men in the tribe take the younger men who are almost of age, almost at puberty level. They take them to another separate area where they make them drink their spermatoza, their cum. And they say that this is magical sort of liquid that's going to give you manhood, and they also do other homosexual things to the kids. And then the kids come back and they're going to go through puberty anyways, right? The puberty is going to happen anyway. So they go through it, but they end up believing that it is the result of having had that
experience,
magical fluid and the experience. So they grew up with these the idea of homosexuality in a completely different way. They don't think of it as homosexuality. There's no such word. There's no such category. There's the belief that this is a, and it has nothing to do with your sexual identity as well, na? कि ये क्या है, करते हैं, सारे करते हैं. एंड में तो हमने खातून से ही शादी करनी है, वो तो है.
कल्चर है ना.
हाँ, कल्चर
एक सिस्टम है कि to in order to achieve that you have to go through this basically.
Yeah. And वो फिर the idea कि ये इंसान वही है, बायोलॉजिकली वही इंसान है. हाँ. उसके और मेरे बीच में जेनेटिकली ज़्यादा कोई फ़र्क नहीं है. ये नहीं कह सकते कि स्पीशी ही फ़र्क है. तो सेम कैटेगरी, but having gone through different ritual and the beliefs have led to a completely different society to come into being, right?
Yeah, it's strange. And if you actually go back and look at the Egyptian times, it actually fascinates you even more because वो सूरज परस्त है. So every single time the sun would come out, they would start giving blood. And the sun would keep rising, and they would give more blood, believing that this is the reason why it's going up. And sometimes the clouds would, cover the sun, and they would think that's like, oh shit, we're not giving enough blood. Got more people. Got more people.
Or the eclipse would happen, like in Apocalypto. Somehow some guy knew astronomy well enough to say the eclipse is coming, but he made that into a religious ritual and made people believe कि जब eclipse होगा तो मैं सर काटूंगा तो इसीलिए होगा.
You'd be surprised if I tell you who it was.
What?
Take a guess.
Who? What?
You'd be surprised if I tell you who it was and how he played with it.
Who was it? I don't know. Ptolemy? I don't know.
नहीं यार, एक सेकंड. अमेरिका किसने डिस्कवर किया था?
कोलंबस ने. कोलंबस ने असल में किया था क्योंकि वो बड़ी एक उसकी वो बात चलती रहती कि नहीं किया.
I'll tell you what happened. So when Columbus went to the Americas thinking it was India, he goes there and he goes like, oh, Indians. He's like, no, bro, this is like a completely different place. You're wrong. तो गलत आ गए. Indian Ocean नहीं था. सही है. So he goes like, and they captured him, obviously, an outsider.
Yeah.
कोई ट्रेसपैसिंग हो रही है ना, उनका लैंड था क्योंकि उसने कहा था कि ये लैंड मुझे दे दो. वो फाइट कर रहा था, अपने बंदे लेकर गया था, उन्होंने सारे बंदे मार दिए थे. उसको पकड़ लिया, कैप्चर कर लिया. वो कहता मुझे छोड़ दो वरना मैं अल्लाह का बंदा हूँ, यानी मैं खुदा का बंदा हूँ, गॉड का बंदा हूँ, और तुम लोग के साथ बहुत बुरी होने वाली है अगर तुम लोगों ने मुझे नहीं छोड़ा. वो कहते क्या मतलब, बिकॉज ही रियलाइज कि ये सूरज परस्त है. सही है. तो उसने क्या किया, उसने उनको बोला अगर तुम लोगों ने मुझे नहीं छोड़ा ना तो 2 दिन में ना सूरज यूं करके होगा और वो गायब हो जाएगा एकदम. Because he calculated, he was a scientist as well, he calculated that there is a totality moment that's going to come in play. Totality is when Chand covers the sun completely, where the rings around are not even visible. It only happens once in 24 years. सही है. तो वो totality moment जब होता है ना तो दिन के अंदर पूरे 1 मिनट के लिए complete रात हो जाती है. Complete रात हो जाती है. आपको stars नजर आना शुरू हो जाते हैं.
Crazy.
सही है. So and he was captured. And that's exactly what happened. And he's like, look, the God is mad.
Lucky guy. How long did he have to wait for that moment?
2 days.
2 days?
2 days. No, he worked it he worked around in that way. That if that was the case, then I'll pull that card.
यार वैसे बहुत ही खुशकिस्मत आदमी है.
Genius also.
हाँ वैसे उसने वेट किया, उसने टाइम किया.
हाँ. He timed his travels.
Yeah, he was a ruthless guy, na? Vicious आदमी.
He was a horrible man.
No longer respected. Columbus Day is no longer made. Or celebrated.
He's very disrespected actually because he took the land over from the Aboriginals and gave them nothing in return.
Yeah.
And it's just the sad reality of...
I studied in Orlando. Orlando is like a Native American name, Orlando. And when I was there, I'd see these totem poles and like remnants of a culture of the ancient people that actually lived and were the people of that land. वो बस remnants रह गए उनके. कोई एक यादगार सा एक लगा हुआ है ज़मीन के ऊपर, आप देख सकते हो. लेकिन जगह का नाम भी ऑरलैंडो है और ऑरलैंडो भी उन्हीं का नाम है. सेमिनोल टाइप नाम मैंने वहाँ पे सुने, लेकिन वो वाकई वाइप आउट. And it's how long ago? 1960s they were in America. How backward was America? You kind of see it as क्योंकि हम सारे seduce हुए हैं ना ये अमेरिकन हॉलीवुड की narratives से, और हम सारे उससे imitate भी अब करते हैं. लेकिन it was just in 1960s that slaves were being sold.
1970s actually.
1970s तक.
Yes sir.
70s तक.
Yeah.
Wow.
1980s तक तो they say ना ये तो बड़ी famous चीज़ है. 1980s and 1990s was when America was going to the transition of removing no blacks and dogs from the restaurants.
Yeah.
Removing that law, I think the black people got the ability to vote after Malcolm X kind
Malcolm
of
X was in 90s, 80s?
started
What?
the, I don't remember exactly the date, but the
Hmm.
point is, actually I researched about that, and I also realized that to truly change you can possibly do it in a generation, because it's
Yeah.
literally a generation away. Like the elders in US, जो उनके grandparents हैं, the chances were उनके बापों ने slaves रखे हुए थे.
Yeah.
Chances क्या, that was the truth, that was a fact.
Huh.
And it's a very rich history, and people are finding it very hard to move on from it. There's like a great divide now, especially after Trump. वो कहते हैं America has never been this divided ever.
Yeah. I mean, America's...
अब जो उनका division level है, like it's literally 50%.
Or the Social Dilemma had an interesting angle of that with polarizing people, because you end up showing them the same
The show?
opinion. The Netflix documentary. Yeah.
Yes.
It was कि वो polarizing social media networks पे उसने डाला था ना, कि इसलिए polarize हो रहा है क्योंकि your tunnel vision is kind of where you are being shown the type of content that you would disagree immensely with more, or that you would completely agree with more. So what you're doing is you're choosing the extremes. कि अगर मुझे भागने का शौक है तो अगली चीज़ मुझे दिखाएंगे कि मैराथन रन कर रहा है. तो the extreme of whatever you like is going to be shown to you, and hence the polarization of your opinion is also taking place by the type of media that's being fed to you. So, I mean, there's this book that my friend Meera Sethi was quoting, Surveillance Capitalism, that talks about this in quite great detail. Yeah, so I don't know who you voting for. You're not voting. You're Canadian. Are you Canadian?
I am a dual national.
You're dual national.
Let's put it that way.
So you don't have to, did you vote for Trudeau?
No, I didn't vote for Trudeau.
Did you vote?
Like, I didn't vote.
You didn't vote?
No.
Why?
I wanted to come and vote over here, but at the time, मुझे like हिम्मत ही नहीं पड़ी मेरी. Like आना था, vote करना था, लेकिन वो time ही नहीं बना कुछ ऐसा. लेकिन I was obviously.
Yeah, I
really
मैं कराची में ही
wanted to
था, और
vote.
मैं भी अगर बाहर होता ना vote करता. I don't think my vote has made much of a difference. But I did do it so ताकि बाद में मुझे लोग कोई guilt trip ना देना.
Acha, I want to talk about one more thing before we go off.
Okay.
Your new video,
All right.
the sex and gender.
Okay.
I was watching it, and the way you have put forth the idea and backed it up with evidence, like hats off to you, first of all.
Thank you.
Like, it's amazing how you've done that, because it's a perspective that even people like me, whom I believe is educated somewhat, didn't have any idea of that.
Me neither.
The transgenderism.
Huh.
So yeah, and how there is a definitive place for them,
Huh.
because it's not what people are just making out to be to make money, but it's a thing. It's an actual thing, and you should respect that, and they should be treated as equals in the society, because it's not their fault that they're in that position. And even if they are, it's not like it's not their fault. I'm not saying it because it's something wrong, it's something bad. We should normalize it.
Yeah.
And you've made a very clear point. I'm going to leave a link for the video, his video, in the description, sex and gender. उसके अंदर जरा लोगों को थोड़ा सा
Thank you.
एक थोड़ा सा वो दो जरा.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to normalize it for me. Like, मेरे लिए भी एक मेरा नुक्ता नज़र था एक चीज़ के बारे में. जब भी मैं किसी चीज़ में घुसता हूँ, I want my own opinion to be challenged. And if my needle is setting at this particular opinion, I want it to be able to go there, go here, and then land wherever the justifications end up making me land at, right? So I'm not stuck to my opinion. And that's my whole journey with these ख्यालात series, कि मैं जाऊँ अपनी एक राय लेके जाऊँ, लेकिन उस राय को मैं इतना challenge करूँ कि end में वो तब्दील हो जाए. तो reading enough about these things kind of makes you end up at certain place, and then just knowing कि there's some biological imperatives that lead to gender identity and their markers, और वो उनको ignore नहीं कर सकते. इनको हयातियाती निशानी कहते हैं हम, लेकिन हम अंग्रेजी में रखते हैं, थोड़ा ज़्यादा आसान रहेगा. तो biological imperatives and markers are there, and they're important in establishing your sex. Now, gender being your inner sort of voice telling you who you really are. And there are many cases. अब उसके अंदर gender dysmorphia भी होता है, people who kind of transition between being a man and a woman. They'll look into the mirror one day, they're like, I don't feel like a man. Why do I have this body? And sometimes they'll look into the mirror and they'll be like, yes, I am a man. So they're people who transition. And Radiolab has a great podcast on this.
Do you think that has to do with genome itself, or do you think that's also psychological?
It's a combination of both things. Depends on the person himself. You'll have to check uske chromosomes kya hai.
Right.
And then the second thing that could happen is the exposure of hormones in the womb. So when you're in the womb and there's a large amount of testosterone you're exposed to, yet you're a woman. So your chromosomes and your genetic profile, your jiniati mada is telling you you're a woman. So you've got XX chromosomes and you're a woman. But around you, while you're developing your primary sexual characteristics, there's an exposure of testosterone somehow, a lot of it. And when what happens is that your clitoris could form into a penis and your penis could slightly form into, so they could change because of the hormones thing, and your primary sexual organs are developing at this point. Now this has occurred to you while you're in the womb. Now you've come out and you've experienced things. And so you could result in having gender dysmorphia. So it's a combination of both things, and you can't really, there's a complex interplay between nature and nurture that ends up making you who you are. So just kind of saying कि ये nature है और ये nurture है, because the interplay is existing, right? You can't say कि nature में इंसान ऐसा होता है, यही फितरी तौर पे जो खलील रहमान कबर साहब कहते हैं कि फितरी तौर पे औरत बेवफा नहीं होती है, जो होती है वो औरत नहीं है. That's like putting a box on it, because what's ending up happening right now is we're seeing gender roles are evolving. You know, women are entering the workplace. They're what would traditionally be called masculine traits are being adopted by women in workplaces, so that they can, because power and aggression and, you know, ordering people around, those sort of behaviors are considered to be masculine.
Yeah.
Yet they are not. Like, they're just behaviors, right? And ultimately just...
There are also the physical limitations of both man and women.
Yeah,
like,
they
for
are.
example, like aggression, as you pointed out in the video very clearly, that there are more people in the jails, and that has to do with aggression, because men primarily has more aggression.
Yeah.
Because obviously of the physical traits as well.
Yeah.
You know, a huge part is because of the physical traits. Women, I don't know what the logic behind is, but are their muscles weaker than men, or they're less developed because of the practice men usually has in the workplace versus the female?
Yeah.
You know, so all of that could play a huge role. It could be the genetics. For the longest time, हमारे जब तक technological advancements नहीं हुई हुई थी, तो men used to actually do all the hard labor. So maybe that has something to do with a long-term mutation of some sort of a muscle जो कि men के अंदर ज़्यादा produce हो गया, females के अंदर कम produce हुआ. If it was equally the same. And it's very logical, because female actually, when they give the birth, they need like a maternity leave, and they need to take care of the baby and just be home. She's more attached to the baby.
Gender
and,
pay
you know,
gap
all of
takes place. Careers get suffer.
Exactly. So maybe that was a cause of it, but it doesn't also limit our possibilities to that. With new businesses, with new ideas, with new world, you're open to, like, you shouldn't just stay back thinking that those were the times, so let's just live there. वो तो बिल्कुल यही बात हो गई ना कि चांद आज भी naked eye से ही देखना है. अरे जब telescope available है तो क्यों देखना naked eye से? ये change with time.
Challenge your gender roles.
Exactly.
You know, don't stick to some old paradigm that existed from back in the day when men used to be required to do certain things. The idea of masculinity has changed so much, man.
Right.
Little kids get bullied just because they're not masculine. Like a nerdy kid who's into computers is probably going to be far more beneficial in the upcoming age where, you know, data is the shit.
I say that.
But they get bullied because those old ideas of masculinity that are taught to kids, hey, it's masculine to be a man. You know, you slap the guy. You know, dominance apni establish karo, coming from the cheetahs probably, or from the shares. So challenging them is not a bad idea. And also, like, from the other perspective where people are like, hey, yaar, you can't really say it's genetic. What you mean by genetic is also got to be understood in a different way. कि हमारी फितरत, हमारी nature है क्या? हमारी nature जो है वो भी evolve कर रही है. And we understand this through epigenetics now, that there is a layer of epigenetic layer, as they call it, which helps in expressing certain genes and suppressing certain genes. So you could have a gene, the same genetic structure, एक शावीर की clone बना लेते हैं, लेकिन different circumstances में वो शावीर एक और शावीर बन जाएगा, जबकि वो genetically identical हो सकता है clone. So that means that there's an epigenetic layer that helps in same genotype can form different phenotypes, as they say. So that also has to be understood. So, you know, us saying कि ये nature में है मर्दों की कि testosterone चलता है and muscles develop उसी से ही होते हैं, and that's why we're aggressive. And our even mating rituals kind of show a certain bit of aggression coming from the male angle of things and a suppression from the female angle of things. But challenging them is a good thing, and acknowledging the nature as it exists and knowing that it's fluid as well at the same time, that it will evolve in generations is, I don't know, looking at the facts shouldn't offend people, but people do get really offended.
Yeah, because it's you're fighting their belief system, and that belief system is not an objective truth.
Most of the time, yeah.
Belief is not an objectively, like it's your belief. It's subjective. To each his own.
Yeah.
So objective truth is gravity exists. It's true whether or not you think it's true or not.
Yeah, yeah.
But Jesus is your savior. Buddha was a god. It's not objectively true. It's subjective.
Yeah, it is.
So whenever you fight with people's belief system, whenever you try to change something that they subconsciously believe in, they'll always stand up for it and they'll always fight for it.
Yeah.
And everybody has that, but maybe your subconscious belief is not that strong about religion or politics, but it could be about X, Y, or Z. Could be about something else. So everybody fights their own belief systems in their own ways. For example, white supremacy. It has nothing to do with religion, but everything to do with culture. And if you tap into that, they get offended. They're like, yeah, bro, white rocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go over there, you'll realize what racism is, and it's directly correlated with the society now, and it's affecting the society on its, like, in itself, and they don't even realize it. It's because you're subconsciously offending them. So that's what it is. But no, man, well said. I would leave the link below.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Transgenderism. Oh, just like, I was hitting up on it. I wanted to ask this because I didn't get a clear answer in the video. But for transgenderism, they have both genitalia from the women and the men?
No, that's intersex and hermaphrodite. Those are the scientific terms for it.
Right. So are there is there gender dysmorphia in play?
It could be gender dysmorphia at play. It could be a combination of nature and nurture, but they don't have both private parts. Gender is a matter of opinion, right? So I might say that मैं एक औरत हूँ, having all biological male markers.
Okay.
मैं कह सकता हूँ मैं औरत हूँ और मेरी अंदर की आवाज़ मुझे ये कहती है कि तू एक औरत है.
हाँ.
तो
क्योंकि वो तुम्हारे जीनोम के अंदर कोड आया था.
वो ज़रूरी नहीं है.
अच्छा.
क्योंकि gender is a matter of opinion. Sex is not a matter of opinion. That's a medical fact. That's like these things, right? So sex के अंदर भी intersex आ जाता है, आपके chromosomes आ जाते हैं. So you've got exact medical definitions. But when it comes to gender, then it comes to a psychological aspect of things.
Right.
And psychology is affected by culture a lot as well. Right. So that's transgenderism is a matter of your opinion. I don't want to be called he, call me she.
Right.
मैं लड़की हूँ. मैं हो सकता है कि आज मैं लड़का हूँ और कल मैं लड़की महसूस कर रहा हूँ. And I would, this is a subject that psychologically I haven't inhabited that sort of a state. So I would say, someone like Pudina Chutney, Moise, he's like a transgender, cross-dressing comedian online, Pakistani, very articulate about this matter. I would be like, आप बताएं, आपको ज़्यादा पता है इस बारे में. So do you inhabit this and what's the psychology like? Because I don't know it myself. All I know is from a vicarious perspective, I can try to understand the best I can. Try to identify, try to be like, अच्छा ये issue है, इस तरह हो रहा है ये वो. At times I find it preposterous when someone can transition between one gender to the other in a matter of an hour.
Yeah.
अभी मैं लड़की था, अभी मैं लड़का हूँ. Now how do I address you,
Yeah.
And do I have to ask you every time?
The thing is, some people might just abuse the fact that they have that as well.
Yeah.
You never know.
And if it's causing them pain and suffering, that psychological pathology of that is the case. If you're in suffering and if you're in pain, then it's a pathological disorder. Right. That's how those things are defined in psychology.
Right.
So people who kind of transition between one gender to the other, some get their penis snipped off and then the next day regret it.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, why did I get that done?
I'm sure that's something
I've seen some videos like that, Pakistani videos like that.
Wow.
Okay, the guy got his thing cut off.
People send you those videos?
No, I actually went to T2F. There was a transgender film that they were playing there, and I.
Do you know any transgenders who would like to be on the show?
Moise. I don't know if he's a transgender actually. That's my assumption, but he knows about the subject a lot. Pudina Chutney and Shumaila Bhatti are his two characters.
Okay.
So call him, dude. Articulate man speaks. I don't know if I want to call him man or not. You see, this is the
one of you're not offending him because you don't know.
I don't know.
It's not coming from a offensive place in your heart. So
definitely not.
so it doesn't
I would
matter
like to
'cause-
understand, and I think I would pass
Right.
the ball on to someone who knows more
Yeah.
in that regard.
too.
You know?
I would love to have him over and have a chat with him, and I would love to have you over again and have a chat along with me.
I'd love that, dude. This was amazing.
This was amazing, man. Thank you so much for coming once again, Mooroo. Honestly, love you, man, and love your work.
Love you too, man.
I give you more power. I give you all the love, all the support. I hope कि तेरे आने वाले सारे projects बहुत successful हो and keep going, man. You're inspiring a lot of young people, including myself, who's almost the same age as you, but still young. We're young. We're young at heart. Thank you, man. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching the podcast. I know it's been 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
We were meditating. We didn't know
the longest podcast I've done.
Me too. Shit. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the podcast, and do go check out his channel, his videos, especially videos on evolution, how he takes a religious perspective and explains it with facts. Do check out his recent video on sex and gender. It'll give you a little bit of respect towards the people you don't already have respect for. So that is very important. And once again, man, thank you so much for coming and
Pleasure's all
giving
mine,
me izzat. Thank you so much, man. Love you.
Love.
Take care, guys. Peace out.